Welcome to my weekly pet pairing video, you guys. I'm sorry you missed it, but I applied already my Glow Lust by Auric, and I was about to start applying my concealer when I thought, oh crap, I didn't turn on my camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply my concealer now. I'm trying to pan my Clarins Instant Concealer in case you were curious what exactly I'm using. But yeah, in terms of base products, you guys know I use mostly the same types of products because I don't have like a super huge variety, and I don't want to have too many of those types of products because it gives me a lot of anxiety having so much of products that take so long to finish up. Like it takes me, I don't know, maybe it takes other people much less time, but it takes me a really long time to even finish a foundation. Anyway, so I was in the city with my friend the other day, and we casually strolled into a store, and I saw this top, and I saw it in a blue color, like a really beautiful, like deep, gorgeous royal blue color. Nothing wrong with that, but blue has become a little overrepresented in my wardrobe, so I told my friend, oh my god, what a beautiful top, I really love the neckline, if only they had it in another color. And then just as we were about to walk out of the store, I saw that they have this top in this color, in this beautiful chartreuse lime green color, which happens to be one of my favorite colors as of the last few years. So I saw the top and I noticed that they only have it in a size XS, and then I almost wanted to put it back down because I thought I am not really a size XS anymore, I'm more of a size M. But my friend said, you know what, it's a very stretchy material, you should just put it on and see how it looks. So then I put it on and it fit. And I was so happy, and I think what you're going to find the funniest is the next thing I told my friend. I didn't even like say it like a normal person, I like kind of squealed it ecstatically. I was like, oh my gosh, I have a Pat McGrath eyeshadow in this particular color. So, I think for those of you who are familiar with Pat McGrath's eyeshadow palettes, it's gonna be no surprise which eyeshadow we're definitely going to be using today. Spoiler alert, it's going to be Gigabyte from the Subversive palette. You've already seen the Subversive palette in the thumbnail, so you know I'm going to use it, but I think once you saw the top, you must have like connected the dots, put two and two together. Again, I didn't tell you what I use for foundation. I'm just using my Dior Backstage foundation. I'm actually trying to pan this foundation because Estee Lauder just released a new line of their like sheer types of foundations, and it's a sheer foundation with a matte finish, which is very intriguing because usually sheer foundations tend to have a more dewy finish to them, so I am very intrigued by this foundation. But with that said, I have quite a few foundations to go through in my collection, and I do not want to be buying new foundations without having finished anything, so I've decided that I will only buy that foundation once I have finished one of my other foundations. And I think at this point the biggest chance I have is with that Dior Backstage foundation because I've been using it pretty consistently since the beginning of the summer. I'm taking another product that I'm trying to pan. This is the Moodlight Ambient Lighting Powder from Hourglass, which I really love the finish of this powder, and I really love how it makes my skin, you know, it shrinks the pores, it smoothens, but it also doesn't make my skin too oily, it gives it a little bit of glow. I really love the finish of this powder. The only thing I don't like is that this particular shade has a sort of like cool toned lilac undertone to it, which is supposed to be brightening on the complexion, but I think sometimes it makes my face a little bit too pink, which is not an effect I'm looking for. I feel like since I'm so dedicated to the cause, I should just continue until I reach my goal. I'm going to be using my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer today again, which coincidentally also happens to match my new top so well. But I don't know whether you can see, I think I'm super close to hitting pan on this bronzer, and that is just giving me all the motivation to continue using it. Also, it's the kind of bronzer which is not overly pigmented, which means you can build it up, which means you can dip more times into the powder and actually have a chance at like panning the damn thing. Because a lot of powders that are being made these days, like blushes and bronzers and stuff like that, they're being made so pigmented off the bat that you just don't stand the chance to pan it. And I love that this one has a nice undertone to it, it has a very nice natural finish to it, it's not a flat matte finish. and I just would really like to pan it because I used to love this product a few years ago, and then I got distracted by other bronzers, and now, you know, formulas have kind of evolved to the point where, like, the baked gelée is kind of the standard. I've kind of set the bar really high for everyone. I am going to grab now this beautiful blush from Becca. This is the shade Tiger Lily, which I feel like doesn't get talked about enough, and Becca is going out of business. And in case you guys are looking for a gorgeous, luminous, like truly more orange leaning blush, like it is a coral, but it is more orange leaning compared to a lot of other corals which tend to lean quite pink. I feel like this is truly an orange leaning coral with a beautiful sheen to it. I think there should be sonnets written about this blush. It is so beautiful, and it's a shame that Becca is of course going out of business. I'm not sure you can still find this blush, but if you can, and you can find it on sale, and you prefer these types of shades for your complexion products, I highly recommend this specific shade. For highlighter, I'm going to take my Anastasia Beverly Hills Aurora Glow Kit, which I think I haven't like pulled out on camera in ages, and I'm going to mix these two shades, my favorite shades, the shades Lyra and Eclipse. And do I dare say I have outgrown the formula of ABH highlighters? Don't get me wrong, I still think they are absolutely beautiful. Look at the gorgeous glow this highlighter gives, but they are quite chunky and they can easily start to look quite textured on the skin, especially over the course of the day. Now when I have to like wear this flipping mask and like take it on and off, I feel like certain formulas tend to look like powdery and break up a lot easier than others. So I've kind of like discovered that the quality of the powder really affects how it's going to look like under a mask when you have to like take on and off the mask and you're sweating a little bit around your face area. So I've always wanted to bring this up with you guys, but I'm curious, do you have any pet peeves when it comes to watching your favorite YouTubers? Like, I consider myself 90% a consumer of YouTube content and 10% like someone who creates content. So I tend to mostly think of myself as one of you guys. But before we jump into that, let me tell you what we are doing. I am going to start off by applying a tiny bit of this shade in like the inner part of my crease. And then we're going to put something else on the outer part of my crease. And you'll see where we're going. You'll see, I'll show you. But there is one thing that always, no matter what, no matter how much I even like the YouTuber that I'm watching, really bothers me, and that is when YouTubers tell their subscribers that they love them. Every time, no matter who it is, no matter how much I like them, when I hear the words, "I love you guys," I'm like, fuck you do. Like, hell you do. You don't fucking know who I am, you don't know my name, you don't know anything about my life, how can you fucking love me? Please don't use terms like that. It just irritates me so much. I think it's just such a tacky thing to say, and so misleading in a way, because I think a lot of people fall for this kind of, you know, parasocial, let's use the modern term for it, this kind of parasocial relationship where they feel like they have some sort of a personal connection to their favorite YouTuber. However, the relationship that people who watch YouTubers have with YouTubers really is a very like one-sided relationship, because basically they have a relationship with the YouTuber and the YouTuber has no fucking relationship with them, other than, you know, it benefits the YouTuber when people watch their content. The next thing I'm going to do is grab real quick statuesque, my single from Pat McGrath, in order to put through the rest of my crease. So I was very curious what you guys think about that. I never say things like this. I don't know whether you've noticed, but I've also stopped saying things like and subscribe if you would like to enjoy my content more, or stuff like that, because it just sounds so tacky when it comes out of me personally. You know, other people can say that and it can sound totally fine and genuine, but when I say it, I just feel like I don't really mean it. It's like I don't really have to say it. If you enjoy my content and you think that it's something that you would like to enjoy repeatedly, you are going to subscribe and like without me having to remind you, and it just kind of gets really repetitive and really like tacky, and I really didn't like it, so I stopped saying it. But one of the things that you will never ever hear me say is that I love you guys. I will tell you things like I've missed talking to you, I've missed filming videos for YouTube, because that is true, you know. Sometimes for whatever reason I don't have time to film, and then 2 weeks later I really missed filming and talking to you guys, because especially in the last few months I feel like my comment section really has finally been blooming and exploding with comments, and you know, I've met really wonderful people that I am constantly chatting with in my comment section. I really enjoy that. But you will never hear me say that I love you guys, because that's just simply not true, you know. I don't love you. At the very best, I like you because we have these chats and it seems like you're nice people. But in the end of the day, I don't really know much about you. Just like you don't really know, well, you know a bit more about me because I've chosen to be on this platform and share myself in a way. But there is a lot that you don't know about me. So it's so weird, right? The next thing I'm going to do is take a little pencil brush, and I've gotten questions from a couple of people how I do that, which brush I use to apply that deepest shade here in my outer corner, and it is 9 out of 10 times, or maybe 10 out of 10 times, just my Zoeva pencil brush. It is the 230 Lux pencil brush. It's really nothing more fancy than that. I'm going to take now this shade, this super dark brown shade from the Subversive palette, and I'm going to start applying it here in the very outer corner of the eye, a little bit, you know, as an extended wing, without really bringing it too far in. So just around here to deepen the outer corner, and I'm not going to apply too much of it because I want to kind of fluff it inwards like this and like diffuse it a little bit. So I am very curious what you guys think about that. Another little pet peeve that I've developed recently, because I've noticed that people do that more recently, is the 20-minute intros where they introduce themselves and what their channel is about. And I don't know, I just irrationally get irritated because I have to skip through like the first 5 minutes by default to just get to the point. I like it when people just go to the point. I don't know. Anywho, now I'm going to take my glitter glue, my Pixie Epoxy from Firini Cosmetics, and I'm going to apply that all over the lid. Like this. And just apply a very thin layer. And we can now let the fun begin. For a change, I'm actually going to take a little brush. This is the Worker Pro from Sonia G. It's a nice MAC 217 type of brush. It's a little bit flat but also a little bit fluffy, so you can apply and blend. And I'm going to go into Gigabyte from the Subversive palette and apply that right here over top of the brown and halfway through the lid, like this. Give it a light blend here in the outer corner, just very lightly. And then I'm going to clean the brush off on a microfiber cloth that I have next to me. And now I'm going to take this shade, the Astral shade from the Divine Rose 2 palette, because I think the two are going to make such a gorgeous combo. And I might go eventually also in with my fingers, but for starters I just want to apply this shade like this with a brush. It's actually not too bad applying with a brush too. I've been really loving this shade this past summer. Like, I've always really enjoyed it, but I've kind of enjoyed it more as a topper rather than like a standalone shade. And lately I've been enjoying using it as a standalone shade because look how much impact it has just on its own. So, do let me know what all of your pet peeves are when it comes to YouTubers and all the things that they say and do that really bug you. I would be very curious to know that. Now, you know what I'm going to do? Like, just the tiniest bit. I'm going to actually use my finger for that. I'm going to go into this gold shade. And just here at the very center of the lid, I'm going to apply a little bit of this shade as sort of a transition between Gigabyte and the topper shade from Divine Rose 2. I think that's just going to be such a beautiful extra touch to this look. I feel like this is a very subdued way to incorporate Gigabyte in a look without it being too flashy. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely don't mind when Gigabyte is flashy because that shade is just so incredibly beautiful. But if you're someone who is scared a little bit of Gigabyte, I feel like this is a very acceptable way to incorporate it into a look. I'm taking that pencil brush, by the way, now, and I'm going to go into this shade, which is the more shimmery brown, and I'm going to apply that on the lower lash line, just very close to the outer corner of the eye. I'm not going to take it too far in, because I would like to pop a little bit more of Gigabyte on the lower lash line. You know what, I'm actually going to take a different brush for my lower lash line because I prefer to be a little bit more precise with it. So I'm going to take this little precision brush from Zoeva and just intensify a little bit that color around the outer corner of my eye, and then I can always blend it out with a more fluffy brush. Using that very same precision brush, I'm going to go into Gigabyte again. And like I said, I'm going to apply it right here on the lower lash line. Kind of like repeating what I did on my upper lid, honestly. In my lower lash line, I'm going to take this little pencil that I have from Urban Decay. It's in the shade Zodiac, and it's a very nice, kind of like khaki chartreuse green. And I want to put that here in my waterline. For whatever reason, I already had envisaged that this look is going to fit perfectly with a dark chocolate brown lipstick. So I'm wearing the shade Deborah from NARS. It's one of their audacious lipsticks. It's such a beautiful warm brown chocolate color. It's usually a lipstick that I use more in the fall, but what we have outside could hardly be called a summer. As usual, this video turned into kind of like a rambly mess, and just to circle back to what I was saying about, you know, my pet peeves and the fact that I don't like when people have like those long winded intros when they feel the need to tell me their whole life story. I totally get why people do those, you know, because you should always go by the assumption that most people who come across your channel are not going to be familiar with who you are, so you always have to give a little bit of context. I get that, but it's super annoying for returning subscribers. So this one I'm kind of like, okay, I just, you know, I'll just skip through the first 5 minutes of the video in order to get to the point. But the one about people telling me that they love me is one that I cannot get over. So I'm really curious what you think about that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!